when you start actually giving your body the food that it needs and it wants, what happens in our body at that point?
Yeah. So this is where I've been having lots of protein conversations recently
Yeah, I was gonna
because it's
dive into that eventually.
yeah, yeah, because we're starting to now see the spotlight on protein as a macronutrient.
Mhm.
And people are wondering, well, why? Why are we all of a sudden talking about protein? Because now we're having more and more studies around it. And we're seeing that if you're increasing your calorie intake and have a higher percentage of protein while you're trying to change body composition, you get a benefit because protein isn't just for muscle. It's for neurotransmitters, it's for nerves, it's for so many other things, even bone, right? So we're thinking about how protein is a building block of almost everything in the body. So if we are eating a higher quality protein more often during the day to increase our calories, we are also stimulating the growth of bone, muscle, neurotransmitters, reducing sympathetic activity. We have a whole bunch of benefits. If we were to increase by fat, we wouldn't have the same thing. If we increase by ultra processed carbohydrate, we definitely don't have the same thing. So when
Mhm.
we start increasing our calories, we want to think about two things. One, how are we promoting the growth of positive tissue? And two, most importantly, how are we helping our gut microbiome? Because if we have a relatively non diverse gut microbiome, then we don't have any kind of change. We don't have any kind of impetus for better health. So when women are like, well, I don't even know how to increase the amount of calories, I'm like, reach for protein and fiber. Lots of colorful fruit and veg. And if you're also adding nuts and seeds and legumes, you're putting in some protein. And then also look at all the other types of protein that you can bring in. So if you're on 1,100 calories a day, I don't want you to go tomorrow and go, oh, I need 2,000 calories. Slowly eke it up over the course of a month.
Mhm.
Find eating opportunities because most people don't know what it means to be fed. They only know what it feels like to be hungry, and they don't even tie into that.
Mhm.
And we see that there's a disconnect in our appetite hormones. The more that we hold on to an elevation of cortisol, it reduces our ability to feel hungry and it reduces our ability to feel full. So we have to reteach the body that. So having an eating opportunity that includes protein and some fiber and carbohydrate allows the hypothalamus to understand that, which means we have better connection with our appetite hormones and a reduction in the cortisol production.
Love that. I love the proteins getting the highlight, nowadays as to prior it never really did.
Yeah,
It's now coming
never
back.
did.
Yeah.
Not until like the past 3 or 4 years when people started really going, okay, well, I can't do carb. I'm scared of carb. I can't put in fat. And we've seen the trends of keto and all that stuff. And now the focus is on protein. And people still are afraid to eat more protein. And I don't know if it's because there's the fear of eating more or we have this myth that it's going to cause kidney issues.
Yeah.
There's so many things around it where it's like we need to unpack this and make people understand that our general recommendations for daily intake of protein based on the minimal amount that you need not to be undernourished or malnourished with protein. So we want to say here's the bare minimum if you're lying in bed watching Netflix, but as soon as you start to move, you need more.
Yeah, what is that real target? Because there's, like, people say zero point 0.8, people say 1 gram per pound of body weight, 1.2, it varies. So what is
Yeah.
that real target?
So it does vary depending on where you are in a training block, how old you are. We see that younger women, about 1.6 grams per kilo. So that is about that zero point 0.8 is if you're recreationally active and you're not in a heavy training block, that's like your bare minimum. But as soon as you start putting in a really heavy training block or you have a lot of stress in your life, you want to eke that up to about 1 gram per pound. When we start to get older, like I said, you hit your 40s, mid 40s, you become more anabolically resistant to protein and exercise. So this is where we're like, definitely low end target is that 1 gram per pound.
Mhm.
Heavy training, heavy stress, heavy travel, just eke it up to 1.1, 1.2. But it can fluctuate depending on where you are and what your lifestyle is with regards to stress and building.
So how about the it's I mean, I hear you. It's so individual. Like this journey for somebody, what eating, training, I mean, it comes down to the lifestyle needs of that individual, like
Yeah.
to make it exactly sustainable for them. But
Yeah.
for anybody, like if I could pinpoint one like avatar for somebody that's listening to this episode right now, that maybe you could have like some just immediate like understanding of navigating what they may be struggling with, right? Maybe they're nonstop traveling. They're experiencing symptoms of menopause, like they're going like a couple months after their period, then getting it back, um, and they're stressed. Like, what would be a good and they're training like 5 days a week. Um, what would be a good like protein intake for that individual? That may be really
Uh,
hard to answer,
yeah,
but
I know. I'm like, gosh, I think you just described my life.
honestly, I'm thinking about one of my babes, and I'm like, I just wanna be able to help her right now, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So definitely hitting that 1 gram per pound. That's
Yeah,
where we want the target. And people think about it as being really difficult, especially if you're traveling. How do I get that protein? It's like
yeah.
you're looking at different eating opportunities. You're bringing stuff with you. You might have, if you're traveling internationally, you can't have nuts. But if you're traveling nationally, you can have nuts. You can have protein powders. You can have little individuals things of edamame and green peas. So there's things that you can have on planes. You can stop at a gas station and you can get a yogurt and a protein and stir in your protein powder. Like there's things that you can do, and every eating opportunity, you're grabbing some protein. And if
Mm,
you're looking at the different types of protein, you're also getting the fiber.
mhm,
And when you're under that travel stress and going from hotel room to weird time zones, having that protein does help you get into parasympathetic and into a good sleep too.
I love that, to be resourceful and to look at all your
Yes.
options, yeah.